gave a talk last year on this, and there was like 5 people. So now, and 2 of those happened to be my 2 sons. And one of them was sitting where you're sitting. And every 3 or 4 minutes, he'd shout out something like, "Boring!" And I didn't realize it was being filmed. And so if you watch it on the video, on the NUS website, and you can't hear him. It looks very strange because I'm telling him to be quiet. It looks as if I'm telling a student to be quiet, but actually it's my 6-year-old son that I'm trying to keep quiet. So let's not have any of that, ladies, okay? Okay. Right. Why are you sitting on that side? You look so odd sitting there on that side. Can you go join her over there? Keep her company, you know. It's all to do with what you call esprit de corps, right? Oh, you don't have to move. No. Okay, you move on that side, I suppose. Yeah, okay, never mind. Right, okay. So, thank you. We're talking about European studies. What's European studies? Duh, study of Europe. Hello, right, goodbye, see you. Let's see what I'm done. Okay, but what is it really? Okay, it's part of the vibrant library of the learning studies faculty. You know that because you've just walked through all the booths, and you've probably been over to C&M and economics and psychology on the other side, and you've walked all the way down here to our talk. So it's about European studies. Okay, so what we do, you can't do it anywhere else in Singapore. You can do a few modules at NTU, and you can do 1 module, maybe they've got 2 now at SMU, but the only place where you can actually major in European studies in the whole of Singapore is here. And in fact, not only that, but I'm actually teaching summer school, as we call it, or special term right now, in this very room. And the room is packed out with students who are learning about the European Union and the 21st century. So even as we speak, we're teaching something about European studies. Okay, so you want to do anywhere else? It's a good all-round degree. I'll explain why in a moment. Of course, it's good cultural literacy and citizenry. Most of the, not true, but a lot of the disciplines that we teach across the university, and particularly those which we teach in this particular faculty, have their origin somewhere in Europe. You think sociology. Sociology hasn't been around forever. It's actually an invention in the 19th, well, it's debatable, but in the 18th, 19th century in France. And one of the first main sociologist was a guy called Destutt de Tracy. My French accent is horrible, right? Anyway, and he think about biology. Who was the first biologist in clinical terms? Aristotle, who of course you study in philosophy over there. There's also political science, in a way, we teach it today, comes out of the Industrial Revolution in Europe, and then goes, of course, to America when they're trying to justify kicking the Brits out. You know, so a lot of this is actually European in origin. Good synergy between the regional and the local. You may have heard of the Asia-Europe meeting process, which was set up some 15, 16 years ago by Goh Chok Tong when he was PM, and Jacques Chirac, who was the president of France. And so this is a dialogue process which is very active. And in fact, within what I think walking distance of where we're sitting right now is their headquarters, the ASEF building, the Asia-Europe Foundation. And so they're very active. We normally have at least 1 intern down there, maybe 2, and a couple of our students actually are fortunate enough to actually start their working careers with them. So there's a good synergy there. I'm sure you all know about the FDA, the Free Trade Agreement, which is in the final stages of negotiation between Singapore and the European Union. And once that gets ratified, once signed, sealed, and delivered, then that will mean that there's a boost. People normally ask me, what can I do with European studies? Well, you have to be focused on Europe. You have to be committed to the idea that Europe is going to feature in your future somehow, in some way or another, right? But as I said earlier on, bullet point 3 there, it really is a good all-round degree, right? And so you will learn a little bit of a lot of disciplines, and that will stand you in good stead for themselves at the moment. We have the free trade already. And then it's an important trading partner for Singapore, So if you're thinking of a business career, maybe, in fact, you know, a lot of the graduates in FASS go into business, which might so surprising for some people, but not to me necessarily. And they go into working with there's from Europe, you don't need that. You see these lovely photographs? Aren't these beautiful photographs? I took these photographs. This is Venice. And you can go to Venice in the SEP, on the Student Exchange Program, if I'm not mistaken. It's very near to Venice. Okay, now what do you study? You study a language. And if you want to know about languages, just go out here, turn right into the seminar room, which is on your right-hand side, the Center for Language Studies. And in fact, after the second of these mini talks, I think at 4 o'clock, is it? Somebody will be standing here talking about the Center for Language Studies. So if you want to sort of stick around for another half an hour, then you'll hear something about them as well. So you study either French or German. We expect by the end of your career, your 4 years with us, that you will be essentially fluent in either French or German. So each semester, you will take one module in either French or German. Some of you may, in fact, have already got some French or German. We normally have 1 or 2 students who come in, they say, you know, I've already done that. There is an advanced placement test which will put you in not in first year, but maybe in the second year or whatever, and they can tell you more about that. But the essential idea is that after the 4 years, you will be fluent in it. If you take German, I mean, my German is better. I more or less speak both of them, but my German is better than my French. The thing about German, you can go to, on the student exchange program, to at least a dozen universities in Germany itself. You can go to Switzerland, that's Swiss-speaking German. You can go to Austria. I don't know whether you can go to Liechtenstein. I don't know whether they actually have a university in Liechtenstein. They've only got about 35,000 people, so maybe not. You know, so the total population of Liechtenstein. Anybody know where Liechtenstein is? What? It's near Switzerland. They use a Swiss franc. I've got some. Say what? It's between Switzerland and Austria, yes. Who said Switzerland? Good catch. Who said Austria? You don't want me to throw something at you, right? No, see if I can throw it to you in the camera. Anybody okay? Is Liechtenstein a member of the European Union, yes or no? Guess, come on, life skill, guess. You can only be wrong half the time. No, correct. Right, yeah. Okay, anyway. So maybe you can't go to Liechtenstein, but anyway, Austria, Germany, Switzerland, you can go and improve your German there. And a very interesting Singaporean coming back with a Swiss accent, Swiss-German accent would be quite a hoot. Pardon? What? What do you say? Sorry. Which countries are what? No, Switzerland. It's Italy on the south. Can you see it there? It's the green one there. Can you see it? Am I in the way? France, Germany, well, Liechtenstein, Austria, and Italy. That'll be a good quiz. Did they give you one already? Did I give you one already? No? See if I can hit it without hitting your iPad. Oh, it bounced off the iPad. Oh dear, I'm sorry. Okay, well, sorry, anyway. Much of German, and then you can really decide whether you want to do more humanities or whether you want to do more social sciences. You can decide, for example, to do political science and say the European Union, the institutions of the European Union, focus on that. Or you can focus on history and culture. I teach culture. I teach literature, theatre studies, that kind of thing. But I also teach a course, as I said, on the European Union, although that probably will be changed because I'm going to be teaching a film module next year. Anyway, so the emphasis is really on the humanities. It's a bag, dear. It's a bag. You have it older, it looks like something else, but it's a bag. Yes. Yeah. You can use it. It's very good. I've got one. I keep one in my own bag. Yeah. Anyway, so the emphasis is on the humanities, but modules related, as I said, to the European Union. So Europe in the widest sense and not the European Union in a narrower one. European studies these days, particularly in Europe itself, is becoming more and more the study of the European Union. Why? Because that's where the money is. And so relatively impoverished universities in Europe go to Brussels, to the European Commission, and say, we'll set up European studies. But they say, okay, you have to study, you have to do European Union studies. We are fortunate enough that we can do both, you know. And fortunate enough also in that we can be a little bit critical of it. Critical does not necessarily mean scolding. Critical means objective, thinking things through in the widest sense. Right? Anyway, as I said, you can go to Europe. All of these places, as I said, all of these marvelous photographs, you can actually go to. Okay, we also have, as I said, good relationships with the Asia-Europe Foundation. There's also a European Union Center in Singapore, which is a joint venture between the European Commission, NUS, actually our faculty more or less, and NTU and the Singapore Institute of International Studies, International Affairs, sorry, SIAA. And so they have lectures. In fact, there's a lecture coming up next week on the European Union as a global actor. You can also take it as a minor. I'll be talking about the minors in a moment after I finish this. You take 24 MCs. You take our gateway module, the Making of Contemporary Europe. This module is actually offered by the history department. You can either use it to fulfill your requirements in social sciences or in humanities. So it has a double-hatted idea behind it. So you can do that, Making a Contemporary Europe. What does that mean? It goes back, if I remember rightly, more or less to Napoleon. What kind of time are we talking about? Napoleon. After the French Revolution, is that 1700? Yeah, so I say 1800s. Do you want another one? Okay. Anybody else? Yeah, you're paying attention. No, you're paying attention. You can help me. Yeah. So I'm not trying to throw things at you. Don't think I'm trying to throw things at you. That's good. It's good. You can have it's a happy face. Smile. It's a happy face. Yeah. Smile. It's a bag. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. So. Anyway, Making of Contemporary Europe. Then you take 20 MCs of European modules, including 12 module credits of language, either in French or German, and 4 of these must be at level 3. It's a little bit too technical detailed, I know, but anyway, just giving you the idea. It's quite a popular minor as minors go, and in fact, I think right now there's something like 80 people taking European studies as a minor. And they come from all over. They come from engineering, they come from science, a lot of them come from our faculty, of course, but they come from all over. So that's quite interesting for them. It's your left there, you have the University of Heidelberg, and on the right, you have Sciences Po in Paris, and these are 2 places which are quite popular with our students for student exchange. Every year we have at least 3 students who go to Paris. Of those, maybe 2 go to Sciences Po and 1 goes to the Sorbonne or whatever. So we go leading universities across Europe. That's one thing. But you're not confined to France and Germany. You know, you can study French and German all over Europe. And you can study Europe all over Europe, of course. And in fact, one of the most popular destinations, do I have any more things to throw at people? Yeah. One of the most popular destinations in recent years has been Vilnius. Does anybody know where Vilnius is? It's in Lithuania. It's the capital of Lithuania. I won't go to it anyway. It's on the Baltic Sea there, by Russia, right? And the last few years, we've had at least 1 student there, and they're actually quite happy, because it's freezing cold there in the wintertime probably, for their students to come here. So we have quite a lively exchange, you know, for a small country in a small university, I mean Lithuania, for them to come here. So that's an interesting place. Zagreb, Croatia, one of the most beautiful parts of Europe, is just becoming a member of the European Union in July. Their university of Zagreb, is also quite popular with our students. Maybe because one of the teachers of Hindi here actually got his PhD from that university. Anyway, so Russia too. The International Relations Office is always going to Russia trying to get some kind of interest going. That hasn't worked out so well. But anyway, probably you can go to Russia at some point, people are interested in that. Okay, so we try to get students to go there, and maybe you can spend up to a year there. Normally it's a semester, but we do hope at some point you'll be able to spend a year. That's quite normal. Let's say if you're studying Europe, in Canada, then you go on exchange for a whole year. Of course, funding is an issue there, and money is not so bountiful as it used to be, maybe, but we can do that. Okay, so we've got global problem. You might think, Europe, why study Europe? Well, obviously you're interested in it, but why do it, right? Well, you've got things like demographic changes, the declining birth rate, the aging society, and immigration. It sounds a little bit like Singapore, doesn't it? You know? So you can actually study some of these issues from another kind of framework. The transient, I call it transient here, financial crisis. You know, it's the euro crisis, which is still bubbling on. The next victim may be France. If that happens, all bets are off. The global role of the European Union, a lot of the FDI here, the direct investment, foreign direct investment in Singapore comes from the European Union more than any other place. So that's something to bear in mind. And the European Union is a very advanced state of integration. So if you're interested maybe in ASEAN, and you're interested in, you know, the members of ASEAN coming together and Singapore's role in that community going forward, you know, with the interesting initiatives that we have, then maybe, you know, they might be thinking about how that would work for European in Europe as well. It's unique, therefore, and there's something new and something old in it. Not only that, but you have history, you have innovation, and you have lengthy Italian summer days. Wouldn't that be lovely? You sit there in that terrace in the photograph there in Capri, drinking something nice, espresso coffee or whatever, looking out at the Faraglione, the two rocks you can see there, and enjoying yourself. You know, it's quite funky as well. This is Warsaw, Czech Empire, the Czech Republic. Look at that, isn't that cool? High tech. Right, career prospects. There's tons of career prospects. You can work, you know, with the companies. You can work in government. We have one of our graduate students went to the MFA, and last I heard of him, he was fluent German. He was in the Indonesia desk. Doesn't speak any Bahasa, but they put him on the Indonesian desk, so he's quite happy doing that. So maybe one of these days he'll get to use his German, or maybe there'll be some problem with German Indonesia that he can help out with. Anyway, so there are more opportunities there as well. And of course, as I said, you can study it. Okay, now what do we have here? More information, your website, me, that's me, ta-da, should introduce myself, ta-da. Okay, end of slideshow. Okay, right, now, anybody want to ask anything quick about European studies? No, okay.